people, igama lami ngumzwandile ngwabangwenya and welcome to the Waldorfian Times launch. Namhlanje bafethu senza izinto ezinkulu kakhulu. Ukhaya usinvitile because ulauncha i-newspaper yakhe. I-newspaper include ama-students bafethu sifuna ukwazi ngempilo yaseJozi, so hlala nathi. Ayoba.
Good evening one and all. Thank you for being here. It has been made my duty this evening to welcome you formally to the launch of the Waldorfian Times newspaper. It gives me great pleasure to stand here tonight and thank you and welcome all of those who have traveled from far, who have traveled in the rain and walked in the rain like myself and my wife, who have come here from the media, who have come here from our students, and all of the others. I'd like to also welcome our MC, famous for doing a lot of events at City Waldorf and always pulling off the most amazing MCing. So thank you again and welcome.
I just can't bear with this venomous pain that is chained in my brain. The eruption of the pain isn't like lavaric flow. Have you ever seen a broken mind, corrupted heart, dysfunctioning emotions, mixed veins like a spaghetti? No. Maybe I need a bucket head. Hell no. You evil-hearted pastor's age. The so-called temples of God, John chapter 6, Genesis, amen, the Almighty as they preach. Disrespectful pastors get to touch our mother's breast as they believe they're preventing breast cancer. All these endless churches don't make sense at all. I mean, at the end of the day, we're praising the same God. Oh Lord, forgive me, maybe I'm insane, please. My Christian veins have been ripped off from my Christian heart and attached to my demonic mind. Oh, my glorifying mind have been devilized. Not forgetting you, that is a lesson. I haven't spit out any truth yet, so relax, but where the hell on earth do you get that profession? I mean, medunsa by the floor, the truth must be told as is. I'm not trying to get any attention. I get irritated when I now have to talk about our nation. You wear tuxedos, classified as a gentleman, hills, sophisticated lady, but you don't have self-definition. What is it that you're trying to send to a future generation? I mean, recently, fees had to fall in our institutions and you just said yes, claiming to know the importance of education. They say charity begins at home. Is this how your initiation steps started before your destination? I get more furious when I now have to talk about race. Have you realized something? I am Mupedi, but I have to speak English out of all 11 official languages during meetings and gatherings. Why English though? Thoughts can ease. I get to be black. Yes, black. Why has black got to be included in every chaotic thing? I mean, black economic empowerment, black listed, black male, black label, black board, black sport. But at least at the end of the day, we're having a white toilet paper. I hope you now empathize and sympathize with me for sure. Or shall I lend you my shoes? Oops. So that you can feel how I feel when I step on this floor. Yes, stones and sticks can break in my ribs, but I will stick with the truth or rather my instincts. I am the black god of satirical flows. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. That was beautiful. So ngizobiza uma wami kakhulu engimhloniphayo ngizocela nje ukuthi simsukumise ngezandla mkhulu. Yazi mkhulu kephi? Mkhulu lana. Yabona umkhulu ngaphakathi kodwa emzimbeni umncane njengami uphethe something, uphethe into eyakhayo. So ngizocela ukuthi uMam Teresa ezengaphambili abe nathi. Ngizocela nje simsukumise ngezandla efudumele as a right. You understand? Oh. Already. Yeah. Wow. Akase muhle. Ngicela nimjongeni.
Ngiyabonga Mtimande Madonsela Libambulunyi owakithi lo. I am going to be the moderator for the panel discussion. With the panel discussion, our focus is on media and how it shapes young people's lives. We have a different caliber of panelists who come from different fields, who are going to share their experiences. Some are young, some are not so young. When I saw the name Waldorf, City Waldorf, I see the billboards and so on, and I had discussions with Nokolo. It also took me a little bit back to my youth. I know some of you might try to guess my age. You might guess it right, you might get it wrong, or you might be so far off the mark. And I was reminded of the movie Coming to America. The king of Zamunda going to America to find a bride, and landed nowhere other than in New York, and was staying at the Waldorf Astoria. You remember? And when he saw the woman that he loved, and he was standing, one day he was standing on the balcony, and he was just feeling so happy. And he was just shouting, "Good morning, America." But the fact that it stuck in my mind attests to the influence of media. The fact that I can still remember, I mean, that is a movie that I watched probably 20 odd years ago. And maybe in the last 5 years, I could have watched about once. It then says, it is the power of media that makes it possible for me to remember. I'm looking at what is happening in our country currently to say how media can actually shape what is happening. I look at Donald Trump. I actually love Donald Trump. Now, one thing that I know Donald Trump is famous for, he is famous about knowing who tells fake news and who tells the real news, to the extent that he tracks what's happening out there based on fake news. He even gives awards for fake news. That's how obsessed he is with fake news. Now that brings me to another topic to say, as South Africans, and as young people in particular, are you able to discern and say, this is real news, this is fake news? A few days ago, there was news to the effect that our honorable president wanted to fire the deputy president. And strangely enough, the people who circulated that more than any other people are journalists. Until one journalist said, whoa, wait, can't people discern between the real news and fake news? He said, first of all, that announcement was not on the government letterhead. February was spelled wrong. That alone should convince you that it's fake news. We need to know and be able to discern which is the real news and which is the fake news. When one looks at the media also, you find that for us to know about Valentine's Day, it's about the media out there popularizing Valentine's Day. I'm a Catholic, and I'm saying on Valentine's Day, it's Ash Wednesday. I don't care about Valentine's Day because it's highly commercialized. I'll go to church. And then people are so hung up and stuck up with the Valentine's Day because of the influence of media. And the one question that comes to my mind is, are you in love because you are in love, or are you in love because of the idea of being in love? Work it out for yourself and be discerning to say, make your own decision. Is it about what the media says out there? Or is it about you then saying, whatever I see in the media, I'll be discerning enough to say, what is it that should shape my thinking, influence me as a young person, as an old person, so that at the end of the day, I say, I know what is happening in my country. I'm well versed because I can read the newspaper, whether it's your copy of a newspaper or I read an online paper. It depends on a particular person. So today, our panelist is going to be telling us about media and how it shapes or has shaped their lives. I will now hand over to the panel to tell us about their experience of the media in shaping the lives, especially of young people. I think the story that I would want us to look at first is your story, Linda. Somebody who was put out there, profiled in the media, maybe profiled negatively, and so on. Tell us about that experience and how it has actually shaped who you are today.
Thank you, Ma'am Viv, and good evening, everybody. This is one of the most interesting issues that I used to tell the media about. You know, some media people that are so, please allow me, stupid. They do journalism. Unfortunately, some of them, they don't have a purpose. But I just love this. Now, allow me to introduce myself firstly, because when we talk about the media, this is one of the most criticized icon in this country in terms of soccer. But nevertheless, from the horse's mouth, you'll get the truth. My name is Innocent Linda Buthelezi. Obviously, I started in the dusty streets without knowing that God has given me a talent. Fortunately, people will reflect that. The reputation of how I play and idolizing myself with some of the people who have made it in life has made me today to sit with you. And I'm glad because this is the youth, this is the future. And the future must know the way. I'm giving you 3 stars that were given by God to enlighten the 3 shepherds to say Jesus was born there. It is a direction. Now, I played football in this country for about 5 teams, respectively the national team Bafana Bafana that won the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations. And that's where we change the mentality and the attitude of our counterparts. And believe me, South African, we are not racist. It's just that we have a wrong attitude towards each other. Playing for those teams, it was not an easy thing for me. Because when I realized that I have a potential to make it in life, now you must also remember that I'm coming from a family that has so much systems, good systems, very intensive systems in terms of our bringing. Now you can mention one, the values, the principles, no money, whatever we had in the table, we eat. If we've got a low caste, we cut it amongst ourselves. But remember, in those circumstances, God is there. And most people, they don't understand that. But the tool that we were given by my grandmother, my father, my mother, was that we need to educate ourselves. We'll come to my talent because nobody knows that we've got talent. We just play. But the main important thing, older people, they are very rich in terms of their minds and how they were given by the gift from God. And people don't realize that. And I need you to realize, you youth, that if you think God is not alive, then you have a problem. You have a problem. And we'll fix it. Because end of the day, we all being guided by God. Because at some stage He has given some rules and regulations. Remember the 10 Commandments? That's how He guides us. We don't have to steal. We don't have to lie. Remember when you steal. Remember when Kara came in. I took all those systems, carried with me to my soccer career. I said, I'm going to listen to the coach. I'm going to listen to my teammates. I'm going to listen to the sponsorship. I'm going to listen to the supporters. Now, it's a challenge. And it's you. You become very emotional. Well, I'll cut the story short in terms of the media, how it affected me. And of course, the pen is mightier than the sword. Most journalists, they were bought by soccer management or club owners. Now, what unfolded in my career is I'm very strong, Bafethu. I'm a very strong person, very strong character. And I focus in anything that I've been given. Any task that you give me, you will get excellency. There's no doubt about it. I have never, in 5 of those teams, any coach will say, no, Linda, you are on the bench. Because I was always focused. But you'll always have an oppositions. Your oppositions are people that are jealous of you because of your steps, because of how you want to work on your life. I was listening to Mam Viv saying unwanted. Of course, she took it from somewhere. And that's the media. Now, when I played for Cosmos, because the owner of Cosmos runs football, I was never given red cards and yellow cards. But when I started to play for Sundown, I was giving red cards and yellow cards. Journalists were coming left and right to me to say why I'm so robust. And one of the journalists wrote, innocent is not so innocent. And to a certain extent, I was kicked by some other opponents, but the referee couldn't do anything. Now, the strong character that I had, the attitude that I had, it was based on what is there that I want to achieve in my life. And remember that while you are being criticized, you need to have a purpose about your goals. I got criticized because of it was on my success. 15 personal sponsorship. Now you can imagine. Go back from 1995 until now. I'm only left with 1 personal sponsorship at the age of 50. And that takes the integrity, credibility, discipline, honesty. There's a lot that you need to embrace yourself with. Remember, I'm working for Transnet, gentlemen and ladies. It is not easy to work for that company. They look at all those things, your credibility. Can you imagine I have a tattoo somewhere and an earring, my pants are here, and I'm shagging? I don't think that would happen. I don't think that would have happened because this is a company that looks after the community. A company that wants to build and rebuild the dying society. We all have challenges. We all have social challenges. Of course, the two ladies will agree with me, because when they are being asked sometimes, what are you going to do with in your community? They will tell you, I'm going to look after the orphans, blah, blah, blah. No, that's a challenge for her. My challenge was to go back to my community and say, look, this is what I have that I've achieved in my soccer career. Move with it. But no media has actually exposed that. The only thing that they've exposed is to destroy this man. How do you destroy this man? It is when you say to everybody, he's robust, you don't cover him. But believe me, I'm all over in the M1s, M2s, M17s. The billboards are there. MTN, Vodacom, you name it. Now, how do you destroy somebody that is been given a talent by God? It's not easy. All of us here, God give us talents. You need to protect it by the way of praying. I did that. We went to England. And those people, they don't compromise. They don't compromise. If you do something wrong, you're gone. Unless if they love you so much, like Cascone. Anything is happening in football. Strong as I am, good character as I am, but it was painted black. Came back in South Africa, the very same journalists who take money from club owners, they wrote bad about me. No substance about what they've seen. But I managed. I focused. I said to myself, I'm gonna reach and achieve my goals. And one of the goals that I've achieved is to work for Transnet. And today, I understand, ma'am. You see Buthelezi clans, they talk for 20 hours. Apology for that. But what I can say, the media has built me. They've never destroyed me. Because most of them, in fact, they came to me and said, look, we were getting money under the table. You were just a good fellow. And fortunately for me, the media has made me to be known, to sit with you. Media is very important. You just have to respect yourself. Focus on everything that you do and be a good person. To yourself, believe in God. It is important. Those are the things that are very important in your life, because you can't compromise respect to everybody. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate the time.
Linda has spoken to one important asset that each human being should have, and that is character. Without character, you are nothing as a human being. It is that character which made it possible for him to be where he is today. And with the kind of story that he has to tell as to how media tried to destroy him, I would like to hand over to Magnificent, the investigative journalist, who tells the unheard story, who tells the story about the underprivileged, the underdogs, to respond, to say, it's media then, now you're talking about media now, and how media would respond to a character like Linda Innocent Buthelezi.
From my own knowledge and also personal experiences would be, I heard you were talking about how the media vilified you, but you also have to look at the ownership. We have a lot of media that is owned by bourgeoisies. So already their ultimate goal is to make money out of people. We hardly have media publications here in South Africa that focus on what people are doing, especially on the grassroots. Like you said, you went back to your community to do something good, but they never reported about that. So you should also be in a position to understand who's owning the media. That's the first thing that you have to look at. But apart from that, I would like to dwell on the importance that media plays to young people. I'm also young, like most of my colleagues here. I'm 22. So I would say, just make an example. Why you see African women trying so hard to be beautiful, not just in an African context, but by wearing weaves, old Western stuff. It's because of the power and the influence of the media. And if you can look at this thing clearly, there's a paradoxical power here. Sometimes the media influences the youth. Sometimes the youth influences the media. So, well, it depends on the phenomena. For example, take your fees must fall. It's the youth, young people. So it's them who are influencing the media agenda. If you look at cosmetics, everything that has to do with fashion's beauty, it's the media that influences the youth, our look, and also our thinking. They do not only just influence, but they also represent us. So you have to ask yourself again, does the media influence or represent what has already been presented by us? So there's actually a lot of things that we need to look at here. And then, as I would like to again make a mention about Waldorfian time specifically, which is what we're here for. Before we came here, I was just looking at the paper, reading the content, looking at its articles. Yeah, it's great, fairly great. But because now the Waldorfian Times caters for students, we're speaking about people here who are so inclined to the internet. So it will be very useful if you also look at the trends that are happening online. Because how often do we see the youth actually holding newspapers, like reading? It's very rare. So that's why even for, like you said, Ziad, you also new in this thing. It's also a very wonderful experiment, like you said. But also, I would hugely advise that look at what the youth is doing. Look at what we call news now. With the internet, the establishment of the internet, what happens now? It will be known by the next 2 hours. So if you were to report next month, you'd be so disappointed that there won't be any news. That's the reality here. It's now how the youth influences the media. The media here that I'm referring to at this platform, the Waldorfian Times, which is a great establishment. That also, we have again a problem because we're dealing with the influence of the media and the youth. If you look at feature stories, long reads, stuff that is well researched, and you know what's the problem again? The very same youth us, we don't like to read. Or at least we read what we care about. The media has created bubbles. We live in our own bubbles. Probably living in your Mexican bubbles. I'm living in my Algerian bubbles. He's living in his Somis bubbles. I'm just making examples. So it's very difficult. Even like Mama said, Uti, how do you discern information? And the word of advice that I would say, never trust the media. At all, never trust the media. Read with a critical eye. Be always inquisitive. And yeah, ask questions. And that's actually what I would like to say about the paradoxical power of the media and the youth. That would be my comment, Ma'am, and also I've highlighted on what you did and what the media did. So yeah, that's all I would like to say.
Oh, I'm a student and I'm an educator as well. I teach kids from grade 10 to 12. And what the media teaches us is very important. That's going to contribute to their critical thinking and their creative solving skills. Now, should the media be allowed to publish news that are not necessary? Like recently, isn't it we know that Minnie Dlamini got married? Recently, Minnie Dlamini got a divorce. which is not true. Now, should we let our kids learn about such things? Should we let them, what's this word? Adapt to such things. I teach my learners commerce, and the news that we read is not basically about commerce. It's all about gossip, what you wear, what you do. It's not about how you can market your own business. It's not about how you can develop your own image and your own brand. Now, I was listening to, yes, about bad publicity. Them not sharing the good that it does, but sharing that the bad, which some of them is not true, right? Now, media is also an inspiration, can be used as an inspiration for learners. We have people like Ms. Nokolo, she's young. Why can't we write stories about her that's going to influence learners to be more creative like her and to aspire to be someone greater like her, instead of always aspiring to be artificial, to adapt to Western cultures and all these things, wear all these fake things, and promoting this image of beauty that is not true. And regarding to who God is and all that, before God came in South Africa, we all believed in ancestors. God came with the Western colonizers that came and colonized us. Now, we as the youth, we're exposed to media. We're exposed to people like Abomboro who go ahead and touch people and then magical things come out. Those people exploiting our parents because of their current depression and poverty. That's the media that we feed our kids. That's what we're telling them. If you want to make your life better, go to Pastor Mpore, he'll pray for you, you'll be rich. Now, I'm so nervous, sorry.
Do you need water?
No.
Just breathe in.
Now, as an educator, what I need for my learners to learn is not how to be pretty. It's not how to do stupid things like Kim Kardashian, pose naked and be famous for it. I need them to learn how to think. I need them to learn how to be creative, how to solve problems that we have now, how to get rid of Zuma for all I care. I need them to learn their true identity as South Africans, cultures, their true religions. I'm not saying that God is not there. I believe in God, but I'm also saying that we can't leave the lessons that our parents taught us about our ancestors and adapt to the new world. Now, right now, if you read in the media and they're talking about God and ancestors, they refer to ancestors as demons because they're people who have passed away. When we go, sipahle lapayana, and talk, she said the things, they say siyaloya. But even those same people who brought God in the pictures, they go ematuneni, they put their flowers and talk to the dead people. We pray to people like Abraham, Mary, you know the prayers, Mus, all those things. Those people are dead as well. Are they not demons? Like you say our ancestors are demons? What are they? What makes them more superior? What are we feeding our kids? Our parents are also responsible for this. I did not have access to media up until I was in first year varsity. I didn't have a cell phone. All I knew was upahla. All I knew was, yes, God is there, we go to church, which I skipped all the time because I didn't see the relevance of it. All I knew is what I could see in front of my eyes. They tell us, go look for articles, do this, discuss this. We'd look for those articles. But what we find there, what is it going to teach us? Are they lying to us? We don't know that because I'm a child. Twitter always tweets stuff. Yesterday I was looking at something saying Donald Trump, he's wearing a weave, it blew away. How is that beneficial to me? Are the things printed out for us or just for gossip?
So in my space, I am in a situation where basically I'm more of a damage control person. I've done Showmax, I've worked for DSTV, I've worked for MTN, I've done most of their campaigns. And this is both on a strategic level, and the main thing that we always faced was that I found out that brands do not know the youth. brands do not understand us as the youth. They send strategic people to go and research about you, the youth, you know? And I remember last year we had a campaign that we're doing for Ujabubuli, for DSTV. And it brought me back to what Bablinda was talking about, the fact that the media can destroy you, and the media can literally, in just one content, one article, can shut you down. But how do we control that? When we had that show, my main mandate was clean up his image. You know? So when that happened, I was sitting there, I was like, why must I do this? It's so difficult. Because each and every article, he's doing this, and what came to mind was that in my team, there's multiple, I'm the only black guy in that level. And then they're like, we want you specifically. And I was like, why me? Is it because I'm black? Or I don't understand. And then the client was like, no, we feel that you would understand him better. I didn't take that negatively, but what that said to me was that, okay, I'm deemed because I'm black, I can understand his situation. He's a drunkard, he did this, he did that, he didn't go to gym, whatever. And what happened now was that I was tasked to clean up his image and make sure that the show on DSTV sells, making sure that he becomes the hero again. But how do you do that if you do not understand the person or the background or where they come from or what led them to be in that situation? Now, I am coming from a point where this is TV and this is social media content. I need to start pushing that content against articles and articles and articles, which are all negative, which are all saying this guy is going to fail because why? He failed before. Now, it came to a realization with me is that it's difficult to erase the past. It's difficult to fight forces that you cannot control. And it's difficult for Tina as the youth to rub off negative things. Like we absorb negativity so fast, but we neglect the positive things that people do. So when every time I get situations like that where I need to clean up someone's image, I need to clean up a brand, I need to make sure that people look good. But in true essence, deep down, I realize that we do not care about the positives of people. We do not care about the right things that people do. We are always going to look back and say, but he did this, you know? And that for me, it's a bad signal. So now back to what we were talking about of saying that how does media influence? If we're speaking from radio, if you're speaking from television, if we're speaking down to social media, I would tell you right now that the youth is more in control of the media, but we don't know yet. We've got power in our hands to shape how the content is structured. This is both from television level to radio, whatever, but we have that power, but we don't know it yet because why? We're focusing, like the media is shifting our focus on things that do not add value, and we are deviating to that point, you know? And it hurts me because I realize that every time I look at the bright side and everybody's going that side, and I was like, but there's life there, why are you going there, you know? But the fact that it shows you the power that the media has. If the media comes down and say, let's start bleaching, it's gonna make you look beautiful. Everybody's gonna say, let's bleach, you know? Why? And then someone's gonna write an article on City Waldorf, for instance, and say, hey, bleaching has got this and this and this and problem. These are the implications if you do it. But now there's positivity, there's negativity. All what matters is what's being pushed more. So how do we don't have the budget which DSTV has. We don't have the budget which large media broadcasters have. So that's why they have more control over what we think, over what we perceive as true. You know? So back to what you were saying about that article where they were saying that Zuma is going to fire Utepiti. I looked at it and I was like, I want to see how this is going to unfold actually. I'm so interested because I was wondering, I was like, I know the youth believes everything that's written. If it's online, it's true. Remember there was a time when you go on Google and you search anything, if you find an answer there, it's true. Whether you're sick, you go there, you do self-diagnosis there, and then it tells you that you are coughing, and next thing it says you've got AIDS. In your mind, you've got AIDS. Because why? You believe that if it's on Google, it's true. Now, back to what I was saying is that I started to realize that we are not, our focus, it's the main problem here as the youth. Why can't we start shaping the youth in a way of saying, can we start focusing on what builds us? Let's stop focusing on what's trending. Trends are important, but trends come and go. Trends come and go. You remember the time, what's this trend that was happening now? Ayaquini things. Those trends, you know? And that thing, it's all a phase. It's like, what's that other, there was this other one, which is a song which was happening, like this guy with a deep voice. Yeah, Toluguti, hey, you know, those things. But the fact that he did that, and everybody adopted to that. They jumped onto that bandwagon. Everybody Toluguti, hey, whatever Toluguti, but it was just a phase. Now it's gone. What's the next trend? Can't they be a trend of positivity? Can't there be a trend that shapes the future? You know, can't we start talking about things that will actually, like for instance, if you go now, if you go on Twitter like right now, nobody is talking about, can we go to school? Nobody is talking about, there's a course or there's maybe, I don't know, job opportunities somewhere else. People are seldomly talking about that. Because why? It's not trendy enough. It's not fun enough. So how do we bring positive things into our youth and shape them? How do we, that's why I said that the youth has got more power over the media, but we don't know it yet because our focus is always deviated to things that don't build us. I mean, I remember there was a time Mozoto Abantu did a video where she was saying that women should use their bodies to make money. She used a platform which is on social media. She's got an audience. That's where the problem is now. The fact that a person like that has an audience, it should tell you what's wrong with us as the youth. If a person, she can't even dance, by the way, but you know, like it just shows you where we are, like mentally. I understand that we come from, if we go back to the times of the youth, like the past, apartheid, segregation, all these things. Yes, they do affect us. They did shape our minds. We had limited access to information. We had limited access to basically all the resources that could build us. You understand? But now, it's 20 years now, 20 plus years now. Our parents have suffered enough. They managed to raise us to be who we are right now. And they've basically gave us the baton in which, guys, pick up from where we left off. Have we picked up in a proper way? I doubt. There's only a few of us today that we can say, I'm actually proud of where I started and where I am now. Majority of the people, I want to look beautiful, slay queen, done, life goes on, you know? And that hurts me because all of this comes from the media. It's the content that they found from the media, you understand? That's why I'm saying, how do we shape the media? We need newspapers like this. We need people who are actually understanding or seeing life from a different viewpoint. Instead of just focusing on saying, hey, what's trending tomorrow? It's a trend. You understand? So that for me, it bothers me by the fact that we are not looking on things that make us better. We are not focusing on things that shape us. We are just focusing on things that literally delay our progress. You know? So on my side, what I will just say, just in closing, is that I'm in a space where like I said, I do damage control. And for me, it's a difficult job because cleaning up an image of someone does not mean you're actually erasing like their mentalities. It's difficult. You cannot erase what people think. You cannot shape people's perceptions. You can write something good about a person, but oh, you bought a house for a neighbor. Okay, whatever. But they got you last week. You know? You see, so that for me, that's why I feel like it's an issue. It starts with shaping the mind also. How do we shape the mind of the youth? How do we make the youth focus on things that build them? Then the moment we start fixing that, then we can actually move forward and proceed as a youth.
But just by a show of hands, how many of you have smartphones? almost everyone in the room has a smartphone. And this brings me to this point. Okay, you're excused, sir. This brings me to the point that I feel like the conversation now needs to shift, not identifying media as an institution or as a building or as a group of people, but now everyone is now a media owner. For the mere fact that you have a smartphone, it means you're connected to the internet, and whatever you post now has a potential of being seen by millions of people all over the world. I'll tell you a story because I love brands, and I love how brands do stuff, and I criticize them through my blog, patternbrands.com, when I give them slaps and pats. So if a brand does well, I give it a pat, and if it does the opposite, I give it a slap. So looking at Dove, how many of you remember the Dove story, the racist ad, where it showed a Caucasian, I don't know, was it a black lady? After using Dove, she turned white. Remember that story? So someone was sitting, right? And they were on Facebook and they saw the ad and they started taking screenshots of that ad. And they made a collage that sort of tells a story of how a black lady turned white after using a Dove soap. And everyone bought into that. You know, the biggest media houses that we're talking about right now, the CNNs, they wrote articles of how Dove produced this racist ad, and no one has actually ever taken the time to sit back and say, hey, let me watch the ad and actually do a proper analysis, or actually see the ad for what it is. And those that did, they realized that, no, actually, Dove did nothing wrong. You know, so that's how now the power has shifted, not from the media houses, but to now individuals with their smartphones. So we can safely say everyone now is actually a media person or personnel. You know, another thing, you made an example of the Toluguti Hey guy. Yes, he trended. He's still a bit relevant. He was sitting in his room. He took a video. He posted it on his WhatsApp story. Someone saw it and said, hey, send me that video. And someone said, oh, okay. It went online, Twitter, what's his name? Euphonic saw it. I was like, hey, can you guys link me up with the guy that made the video? And that's how it boomed. So now, where is the influence? The influence is now amongst ourselves.
My content is very disorganized, but I'm so happy that Waldorfian Times is doing great. This is my baby. I started this newspaper. And within our team as City Waldorf, Mr. Ziad is the only person when I send the issue and say, guys, can you please look at our February issue, our January issue, and tell me what needs to be changed. Everybody will keep quiet. Mr. Ziad is the only person who will stand out and say, Kai, listen, let's do 1, 2, 3. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I remember this other day, we sat in the boardroom. I think there was a delay with a certain issue. So Mr. Hussein, one of the directors for the newspaper, he said, Kaya, I can see that you've got a potential and you want to work hard, but we need to bring someone on board. That is how we brought Noxie, Nokolo Tetra. So I'm very happy that we are gathered here today just to celebrate such greatness. Guys, I don't know if I was introduced. I'm currently sitting on a portfolio situation. I'm doing PR and events manager. So besides that, I'm a television student. Well, I'm done with my studies, but I'm within a television space. And my brother there mentioned that sometimes we happen to sell our souls just because we have to earn a living. I'll say advertising is more about that. I've done films that have played on Mzansi Bioscope. And I'll tell you one thing, I've got a film that I shot in KZN. I put a proposal forward to Mzansi Magic, but they couldn't give me the funding. We proposed the same thing, however, they told me that whatever budget you have, go and shoot a film. You submit it to us. We're gonna mark it out of 100%. Then we give you maybe 100,000 or 50,000 rands. I shot a film. I spent 30,000 rands. I took it to Mzansi Magic. They didn't approve it. They said your storyline is not what we want. All to find out that they approved a film that had a storyline that is all about, drugs, stealing cars. If you know Mzansi, what is this thing? That's a gangster. They approved that film. They said we're gonna give these people 80,000 rands. My film was more educative than their film, but because they are so consumed by their audience, they said our audience is not gonna fall in love with your storyline. It's too formal. We need something that will bring vibe to our audience. So that is selling your soul. Guys, for instance, if you'll see, there is someone who once said here in South Africa, we were only given political freedom, not economical freedom. We still don't have economical control in South Africa. We only have political control. That's why we've got all these parties fighting against each other. The whites are sitting there watching. It's only us black people fighting against each other. Whenever there's xenophobia, you'll never see a white guy being chased with sticks. It's always a South African guy chasing a Nigerian guy, a Ghanaian guy. It's through media. If they want to release a certain article, they are sitting there saying that, guys, now we need to disturb things in South Africa. How can we disturb it? They push it on the media. Listen, guys, Nigeria has done this to South Africa. You South Africans, what are you doing to prevent this thing? Then we start fighting. Hey, you guys did this, you're selling drugs, you're doing what, you're doing what. Then we're fighting, then the whites are watching. But they are the ones who are feeding us this information. So we should start looking at that. Another thing that maybe you've noticed, if you, my brother, you're working for DSTV or you've done some project DSTV, guys, there is something tricky about DSTV. If you'll notice, we've got so many packages on DSTV. And I'll tell you now, Pat here spoke about our perfect wedding. There are these programs that are so entertaining, but they are not educative. And we are the target market, not whites. We as black. If you've seen our perfect wedding, have you ever seen a white wedding? Go to Nyanyani. People who are confessing that I'm cheating. Have you ever seen a white person? Go to Tatako. Those shows, a kid lost a father. Have you seen a white person? But now, if you go behind the scenes, the creators of those shows are white people. The executive producers of those shows are white people. What are they trying to say about black people? You go to DSTV, you'll see that there is a package that costs, I think it's a compact. It has channels. Then there is a package that is called premium. It has channels. But if you can take your time and watch it, the compact package, then you compare it to the premium, you will see that compact is more about naked entertainment. There is no educative content. And black people, unfortunately, can afford the compact, but not premium. You go to premium package, you'll find educative programs. And white people can afford to pay for a premium because it's around 900 and something rands. As black people, we can't afford that. It's for grocery. We can only afford to pay for a compact that has trash content. And we have been fed that. If you go to white restaurants, you'll see they play educative content on the screens. You go to our restaurants, we will always be playing those Mzansi Boscope, whatever. That is what we have been fed. So, in closing, guys, I've got a talent, truly speaking. And I'm not saying I'm successful, but I'm proud of what I've done. At a young age, I'm 25 years old. But I've achieved a lot. We've got Varsity TV today. They are shooting this thing. I started Varsity TV with Refilwe. They didn't have cameras. They didn't have lights. They didn't have transport. I bought my car. I said, guys, listen, I've got a car. You have Varsity TV. You've got this thing. Let's use my car. Let's use my cameras because I can see this channel has a potential. They were using my cameras. I wasn't charging them. We were using my car going to shoot. I wasn't charging them. They didn't have content. I had to come up with the content and give it to them. Today, they are a big channel. City Waldorf has a contract with them. I'm the one who was on the ground working when this station was starting. Today there is Waldorfian Times, which is also my baby. Today we were able to bring such greatness together to achieve this. So what I can say that, guys, there is a quote that says, be the change you would like to see. Don't expect to see a change, but we are not participating in that process of seeing that change. It starts today. Let's just not talk about changing the society. When we step out of this place, we forget about this such great event. Because I'm so hurt that we invited a lot of people, but only few showed up. And I'll say this thing. We are here because it's more about quality than quantity. The quality of people that are here is what we expected, what we need. So I'd like to thank you for that. I always encourage people that instead of meeting Fridays to go for bashes, go spend our money, go do 1, 2, 3, we meet for such things. We meet for things that are going to take us to another level. The youth spend most of their time investing in entertainment. Whenever people got paid, the only thing they can think of is to go to Newtown and spend their money. Instead of saying, listen guys, we all got paid, how about we meet at a certain spot and come up with business ideas that can take us to another level. So let's promote more of meeting to talk about productive stuff instead of spending most of our time destroying whatever money we have that is little. So this is what I want you guys to go home with. Let's try and be the change that we would like to see. Let's participate within the process of that change. Thank you so much.